Welcome to PI Time, your dedicated space for personal growth and profound transformation. Here, we embark on a shared journey, an invitation to both begin and deepen your path to true self-mastery. This isn't just about gaining knowledge, it's about applying practical insights and wisdom to guide you through each stage of your personal evolution. This is where you gain the tools to positively improve your life and realize your fullest potential, one conscious step at a time. I am so glad you're here today, as I am so excited to explore transforming judgment into understanding. In this episode, we explore one of the most powerful inner shifts you can make, the shift from judgment to understanding. Judgment is sharp, reactive, and immediate. Understanding is spacious, compassionate, and aware. And learning to transform one into the other is a profound act of self-liberation. Today, we're going to explore how to reframe the way you speak to yourself. How to recognize when judgment disguises itself as discipline, how fear hides behind criticism, and how empathy, gentle, warm, steady empathy, can open the door to real transformation. Take a deep breath, let your shoulders drop, and allow yourself to enter this space with curiosity. We all know what judgment feels like. It's the voice inside that says, "You should have known better. You always mess this up. Why can't you get it right?" It's the voice that rushes to blame, to shame, to criticize. Judgment feels like a tightening, a contraction, a closing of possibility. But here's what many people don't realize: judgment doesn't come from power. It comes from fear. It comes from pain. It comes from old wounds that never received the understanding they needed. Understanding, on the other hand, feels like a softening, a widening, a gentle shift from "what's wrong with me" to "what's happening within me." It invites exploration instead of punishment. It holds space instead of condemning. It looks at your flaws and your fears with curiosity, not hostility. And when you replace judgment with understanding, healing begins. Think for a moment about the last time you were hard on yourself. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was a moment of fear. Maybe it was a habit you're tired of repeating. Instead of asking, "Why can't I do better?" try asking, "What part of me was hurting in that moment?" This is the beginning of transformation, shifting from self-attack to self-awareness. Say you hesitated because you were afraid. Judgment says, "You're weak." Understanding says, "You needed safety." Say you procrastinated because you felt overwhelmed. Judgment says, "You're lazy." Understanding says, "You needed support." Say you reacted emotionally because you felt threatened. Judgment says, "You're too much." Understanding says, "You needed to feel seen." Every judgment has an unmet need beneath it. And when you learn to listen for the need instead of punishing the reaction, you create a new kind of inner dialogue, one that leads to growth rather than shame. Let's talk about reframing your inner dialogue. Your inner voice is not just commentary, it is programming. It shapes how you see yourself. It shapes how you act. It shapes what you believe you are capable of becoming. Judgmental inner dialogue locks you into the past. Compassionate inner dialogue opens the possibility of change. So how do you begin to transform the way you speak to yourself? You start by noticing. Notice the harsh tone. Notice the familiar phrases. Notice the stories you tell yourself, stories that may have started years ago, long before you had the awareness you have now. And once you notice the judgment, pause. Take a breath. Insert space between the voice and the reaction. Then ask yourself, what would understanding say right now? Understanding doesn't excuse behavior. It explains it. It brings clarity. And clarity leads to choice, real, empowered choice. This is where transformation begins. Let's explore flaws, not with judgment, but with empathy. You are not meant to be flawless. you are meant to be whole. And wholeness includes mistakes, fears, imperfections, edges, shadows. Judgment says flaws must be eliminated. Understanding says flaws must be understood. Because once you understand why a flaw exists, its origin, its purpose, its emotional root, the flaw begins to lose its power over you. Maybe your perfectionism developed because you once felt unsafe when you made mistakes. Understanding this gives you the space to soften. Maybe your avoidance developed because life felt overwhelming at a time when you didn't have support. Understanding this helps you approach challenges with more compassion. Maybe your self-doubt developed because you were surrounded by voices that questioned you. Understanding this allows you to build trust in yourself again. Understanding does not ignore the flaw. It heals it. Now let's talk about fears. Fear is one of the most misunderstood parts of the human experience. Most people judge their fears harshly. I should be stronger. I shouldn't feel this. I should be over this by now. But fear is not a weakness. Fear is a messenger. It tells you where you need reassurance. It tells you where you need healing. It tells you where courage is being invited. When you judge your fear, you silence the message. When you understand your fear, you free yourself to respond wisely. Imagine fear as a small child tugging gently on your sleeve, trying to tell you something important. Would you yell at that child? Would you shame them for being scared? Of course not. You would listen. You would comfort. You would guide. This is how you transform fear, by meeting it with compassion instead of criticism. Let's bring this into practical steps. Here are 3 simple ways to transform judgment into understanding. 1. Replace "what's wrong with me" with "what do I need right now?" This shifts your focus from shame to support. 2. Replace "I failed again" with "what can I learn from this moment?" This shifts you from discouragement to growth. 3. Replace "I shouldn't feel this way" with "this feeling is telling me something." This shifts you from resistance to awareness. These small shifts in language create massive shifts in self-perception. Little by little, the inner critic grows quieter, and the inner guide grows stronger. As you deepen this practice, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel safe inside yourself. You begin to trust your own intentions. You begin to see your humanity not as something to overcome, but as something to embrace. You realize that you don't need to fight yourself to grow, you simply need to understand yourself. And when understanding becomes your default mode, every part of your life begins to transform. Your relationships deepen, because you can extend to others the same compassion you extend to yourself. Your choices become clearer, because you're no longer acting from fear or shame. Your ability to grow expands, because you're no longer trying to change through force, but through awareness. This is the path of inner freedom. This is the path of self-mastery. Take a moment now, breathe, and feel into this truth. You deserve understanding. You deserve compassion. You deserve to be spoken to with kindness, especially by the voice within your own mind. Your flaws do not make you unworthy. Your fears do not make you weak. Your mistakes do not make you broken. They make you human. And when you meet your humanity with empathy, you unlock a level of growth and transformation that judgment could never create. This is your invitation, to soften, to listen, to understand, and to transform. One gentle choice at a time. Now that we have reached the point of wrapping up another insightful episode, I would like to express our gratitude for your presence and participation in our exploration of self-mastery and personal transformation. As we delve deeper into these topics, we aim to provide you with meaningful tools and strategies that can foster growth and well-being in your life. We look forward to welcoming you back next week for another episode of PI Time, where we will continue to explore fresh perspectives and actionable strategies for personal success. Until then, namaste.